Today, you'll be able to be a fly on the wall, listening to an everyday British conversation between two mates meeting up. Forget about what you learned in school. Today, I will give you English vocabulary that Brits use every day without even thinking. And if you start using it too, you'll start sounding like a real local. As the conversation unfolds, I'll pause and explain the words and expressions they're using, what they mean, and most importantly, when British people actually use them. So, let's meet our two friends. We'll call them Lucy and Sarah. Hi Lucy, it's so good to see you. Oh my gosh, it's just been too long. I've got loads to catch you up on. Yes, you need to fill me in. Straight away, we hear two expressions that mean almost exactly the same thing. To catch someone up on something means to tell them all the important things they've missed. Updates, news, gossip, life events. It's what you say when you haven't seen someone for a while and there's a lot to talk about. To fill someone in works in exactly the same way. British people love variety, so you'll often hear both expressions used together like this. It sounds friendly and natural, and it usually signals that the conversation is about to get long. If someone says either of these, it's a good idea to sit down and get comfortable. Now, let's go back to Lucy and Sarah. Okay, but before we get into it, should we order? I'm gasping for a brew. Yeah, same here. I'm also a bit peckish. If someone says they're gasping for a brew, it means they really want a cup of tea. A brew in the UK almost always means tea. And gasping for something suggests a strong desire, usually because you're thirsty. You'll hear this phrase a lot, and not just with tea. People will also say they're gasping for a pint, especially after work. Peckish means slightly hungry. It's what you say when you're not starving, but food would definitely improve your mood. It's a very common word, especially when people are deciding whether to order snacks or just drinks. Now, let's pick up where we left off with Lucy and Sarah. Ooh, should we get some picky bits? That's a fab idea. I'll go order 2 teas and some snacks. Picky bits are small snacks designed for sharing. This could be pastries, crisps, olives, or anything you can nibble on without committing to a full meal. It's a very British way of eating, enjoying an array of food while insisting you're not that hungry. When Sarah says, "That's a fab idea," she just means it's a great idea. Fab is short for fabulous, and it's used really casually to show enthusiasm. While Sarah orders, it's worth noticing how relaxed this conversation is. No one is being formal or careful with their language. This is what everyday British English sounds like between friends. Easy, familiar, and slightly understated. Now, back to Lucy and Sarah. This cafe is lush. Is it your first time here? Yeah, it is. I've been meaning to come, but never got round to it. If something is lush, it means really nice. It can describe places, food, or experiences. and it's very commonly used in casual conversation. Here, Lucy is just saying the cafe feels lovely and welcoming. To get round to something means to finally do something you've been planning for ages but somehow never managed to. It often comes with a hint of self-criticism because we all know we should have done it earlier. British people use this phrase constantly, usually because we're very good at intending to do things and much less good at actually doing them. Now, let's return to our main duo, Lucy and Sarah. Good shout on the pastries. They look delish, don't they? Should we tuck in? A good shout means a good suggestion or decision. It's a really common way of approving someone's choice. Delish is simply a shortened, informal version of delicious. And to tuck in means to start eating. It sounds warm and friendly, and it's often said when food arrives and everyone's ready to begin, but don't want to appear rude. Now, let's jump back in with Lucy and Sarah. This scone is divine. Oh, I need to try it. If someone describes food as divine, they just mean it's really good. It sounds exaggerated, but it's still very normal, especially when people are enjoying a treat. And now, we need to address the scone, or should I say scone, because no British food item comes without a debate. Some people pronounce it scone, rhyming with gone. Others say scone, rhyming with cone. This has been discussed for years, usually jokingly, and there is no correct answer. Both are widely used and everyone will understand you either way. If you say it differently from the person you're with, they might tease you about it, but that's part of the fun. Now they've had a bite to eat, let's check in on the conversation. You won't believe what's been going on at work. I've been having an absolute mare since you left. Oh, how awful. I heard from Tracy it was a total shambles. A mare comes from nightmare and is used to describe a stressful or frustrating situation. Work problems, travel issues, admin. These are all classic examples of a mare. A shambles is something completely disorganized or chaotic. If a workplace is described this way, it usually means nothing is running smoothly and everyone's a bit fed up. Both words are very expressive and very British. Complaining is something we're quite good at. Let's see what happens next with Sarah and Lucy. Since they promoted John to head of the sales team, it's like the blind leading the blind. I could never stand him. When someone says the blind leading the blind, they're talking about a situation where the people in charge don't really know what they're doing. And unfortunately, neither does anyone else. It creates the sense that there's no clear direction and no one to rely on. It's not very kind, and some people find it offensive. But I wanted to include it because you'll hear it quite a lot from people venting about work, and it's important you understand the meaning behind it. When Sarah says she could never stand him, she's making her feelings very clear. To not be able to stand someone means you really don't like them. Not in a mild, polite way, but in a please don't make me work with this person way. It's strong language, but completely normal in informal conversations between friends. Let's go back to where we left Lucy and Sarah. How is mat leave going? Honestly, I'm knackered. I'm not getting a wink of sleep. Mat leave is short for maternity leave, the time a mother takes off work to have a baby. It's the term people use in everyday conversation rather than the full phrase. You'll hear it all the time at work and among friends. When Sarah says she's knackered, she means she's absolutely exhausted. This word is incredibly common in British English and works for all kinds of tiredness. If you learn one word for being tired, make it this one. Not getting a wink of sleep means exactly what it sounds like. No sleep at all. It's often said with a bit of exaggeration, but it's a very natural way to complain about being exhausted. It sounds like Sarah needs some support. Let's see how Lucy responds. Bless you. It sounds like you've got your work cut out for you. It's not easy, I'll tell you that. But honestly, I'm dreading going back to the office. When someone says you've got your work cut out for you, they mean you're facing something challenging, something that's going to take a lot of effort. It's often said sympathetically, as a way of acknowledging that someone is dealing with a tough situation. To dread something means to feel anxious or unhappy about something that's coming up. Here, Sarah isn't just saying she doesn't fancy going back to work. She's genuinely worried about it. It's a very honest, very human expression, and you'll hear it a lot when people talk about responsibilities they're not looking forward to. Now, I think it may be time for them to leave. Let's see how they wrap the conversation up. I'm sure it will calm down soon. It's just been mayhem with the sales. Yeah, you're right. Now, I've got to get a wiggle on because I only paid for 2 hours of parking. Mayhem means chaos. Lots happening at once, everything feeling a bit out of control. It's often used to describe busy periods at work, especially around holidays. When Lucy says she needs to get a wiggle on, she means she needs to hurry up. It's a light-hearted, friendly way of saying, I need to go. And it softens the rush without sounding stressed or rude. Let's go back to the conversation where sadly our pair needs to say goodbye. Honestly, babe, we can't leave it this long next time. You're so right, hun. I'll give you a bell next week and maybe we can sort something for the weekend. To give someone a bell means to call them. It's very common in British English and sounds casual and friendly. Even though people don't use bells anymore, the phrase has stuck around, and you'll still hear it all the time in everyday conversation. And there you have it. A very normal, very British catch-up between two mates, packed full of the kind of expressions you'll hear every single day in the UK. None of this is fancy English, none of this is textbook English. This is the language people use when they're meeting for a coffee, having a moan about work, catching up on life, and suddenly realize an afternoon has somehow disappeared. If you'd like to receive practical tips and real-life English expressions delivered straight to your inbox, don't forget to subscribe to my free newsletter. The link is in the description. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.